the metronome.
And we're live. So welcome back to another Music to Us podcast. And today, this week, we have Andrew, the vocalist of, how many bands are you in now?
A couple.
All right, which ones are you in currently?
I'm in Transcendence, and I'm also in Keep From Sight, and also in a band called For the Last Time, and a band that's called I Found the Floor. I think that's it.
And then side projects in general.
Oh, yeah.
So many.
Yeah.
I want to turn this
Music
down.
is life, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Music is life.
Now, when did you first start getting into music? How old were you? Were you super, super young, or was it more
So my mom, when I was really little, my mom brought me to bars, and I kind of grew up in the bar scene very, very young, hustling the pool, listening to the live music there. And it was always kind of a part of my life in that way. It wasn't the music that I perform today. It was definitely more Celtic music, and I definitely went to a lot of tattoos, which it's like a lot of bagpipes and drumming, which are amazing to see live. But it's always been a part of my life, and really when I started playing music was 5th grade. I wanted to play the drums, but I was the only kid in my class in the percussion section that got the xylophone. So they're like, you get to play the xylophone because we already have a drummer, and he's actually really good.
Well, the xylophone's still cool, at least.
Yeah, it was. They kind of went through the process of, this is how you sight read, and these are the notes. And I understood how to do it. I just didn't really care enough at the time to do it, so I memorized every piece that we had to perform for our live concerts, where the parents come and they're like, yay, my son or daughter's amazing. So I didn't really get into doing vocals until probably around 11th grade in high school.
Did you take up anything else, instrument-wise, other than the xylophone for the first time? So if you picked up vocals in 11th grade, did you play guitar beforehand, or
Yeah, I actually taught myself how to play the acoustic guitar, and that was also during high school. It was before I started singing. I never really was sure of my voice. I was, puberty hit hard, man. And I was just crack city, and I was very shy about singing and wasn't confident until pretty much after puberty kind of set in, and I had my, quote-unquote adult voice. So that did come after the instruments. I thought I could get all the girls by playing acoustic guitar. So I was like, that'll be cool.
That's exactly what everybody thought growing up.
Yeah.
Guitar. That's kind of what got a lot of us into it.
Yep.
So now, what was your first band like? So I know you're in 6 of them now currently. What was your first band? I actually don't think I know this about you. And for those who don't know, I'm in a band with Andrew. It's kind of funny.
Yes. My first project was a band with my best friend, Quinn, and he played drums and I did guitar, and we were called Sky Reflects Amber. And that was back in MySpace days.
Oh, good days.
Yeah, the good old days.
Okay.
And then I was in a couple of projects after that. I was in another one in high school. And then the first band that I actually played a live show with was called No Sad Tomorrow. And they were out of Medina, New York. And it was kind of thrashy, a lot of Bullet for My Valentine influence. And they were looking for a singer, a vocalist, because their guitarist didn't want to do the vocals and guitar anymore. It was too exhausting for him live. So I tried out and got the job and got to play live with them, which was really cool.
How old were you during this? Was this after Harley or?
Yeah, it was.
So it was after you graduated?
Yeah, it was after I graduated high school. It was. Oh man. Maybe 2013, 14.
Nice. And how were you screaming or were you singing in that group?
I was screaming. I didn't really sing growing up. It wasn't really because of I was so awkward about it. I kind of went straight into screaming.
Okay, so you skipped doing regular singing.
Yeah.
That's cool. Well, who were you listening to when you first started doing that? How did you teach yourself?
So, my style has definitely changed over the years.
100%, I could tell.
Yeah, I was really bad at the beginning. It was atrocious listening to me. In high school, I was listening to Bless the Fall, and
Hell yeah. Good
Craig
band.
Mabbitt's vocals really inspired me to want to, bring that kind of emotion through singing. And I started writing lyrics back in 7th grade when I started doing poetry. And that was also atrocious when I first started. My writing has come such tremendous leaps and bounds since then. But I really wanted to get what I was writing out for people to listen to. And listening to Craig's style and how he just put everything into it when he performed just kind of inspired me to want to do that.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, when you were writing, how did you get into that? Did you first start with like poetry, or how did you go about just writing in general? Like, I'm curious about this because I've always been curious on your outlook to this. Like, how do you go into this?
You know so much about me, but there's so much
you
don't know.
That's why I'm like, I want to get you on because I feel like this would be good conversations.
Yeah, for sure. I started writing poetry. I really wasn't into the whole rhyme scheme type thing. It was really just more like stream of conscious, this is what's on my mind. This is how I'm thinking. And it was very choppy because growing up I had ADHD and my mind was just everywhere. So nothing really fit together. It didn't flow, but it was considered poetry because, it's just writing.
Right.
And once I kind of got a feel for where my writing needed to go and how I needed to increase my vocabulary to try and put many different aspects on a similar thing for people to grab at it. I kind of went into the religious side of me growing up, and I was brought up Presbyterian, and so a lot of verses in Psalms are songs, are made into songs. So I kind of took those and wanted to morph them into my own lyrics to like try and capture like what was being said like from the Bible, and that definitely helped as far as adding another perspective to my writing, because it's definitely something I didn't think about before actively, and it was just really cool to help me grow that way.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Who were your biggest inspirations back then? Like when you were getting into writing, were you more, when you were getting into poetry, did you go into it where it's like with the mindset of that you want to become a vocalist, or were you just trying to get words out on a paper and just trying to put like 2 and 2 together?
I definitely wasn't writing with the intent of being a vocalist at that time.
Okay.
It was just like, this is a way for me to release my emotions, my thoughts, everything I'm bottling up inside. And back then, I lost my uncle. It was very hard on me growing up. And then that pretty much brought me to a very dark place. And my music selection pretty much went from like listening to Eminem and Jay-Z in like 5th and 6th grade trying to fit in with everybody to then like, fuck you, Drop Dead Gorgeous and like Devil Wears Prada. And it went very dark and very heavy, and I definitely, the bridge between that was really like Linkin Park for me.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Linkin Park was fantastic.
The emotion that was put into that music and the heaviness that they were definitely inspired me to keep going with what I was doing and to not give up, and to realize that there is a purpose for me, even if I didn't know what it was then, but that there was some sort of light at the end, and I wasn't alone in this. And music has definitely saved my life over the years. But as far as like writing, the main influences that I had when I started out were like Edgar Allan Poe. That was a big one. Yeah, I really liked his writing and how he captured imagery. It was really well done. So that was pretty much my inspiration starting writing poetry.
Now, when you started your first band, was there a person that got you into it, like that made you want to do it, or like when you finally sat down and were just like, you know what, maybe I should try music? Was there a specific person pushing you to do it, or not push, but
Yeah.
gave you like the courage to do it, or just the balls to do it?
Yeah.
I couldn't think of the fucking word.
My best friend at the time, Quinn, as I said, he was the drummer in the band, and him and I like hung out a lot after school, and we're like, oh, this would sound good together, and like we would jam and things would come together. And then I remember posting something on MySpace and then getting a message from a local promoter, being like, whenever you guys are ready, we'll book you on a show.
Now, was it just you and him in the band?
Yeah, it was.
Really?
Yeah, there was no vocals on it at all.
So what were you doing? Were you playing guitar?
I was playing guitar, yeah.
Acoustic or electric?
Electric.
Electric?
Yeah, I definitely liked, at that point when I was starting that, like that kind of music part of me, I was definitely wanting to play more heavier electric music.
No, when you were playing shows, were you playing out here? Was this a Rochester band, right?
Yeah. We went to high school together. Okay. So it definitely was based out of Rochester. But we didn't ever play any shows.
No,
we definitely didn't have enough
no
material.
Backyard parties or anything.
No,
not even a school like show or anything. Nothing like that.
No. My first show I actually played out in Buffalo.
Really? What band was with this? Which band was this?
This is with No Sad Tomorrow. And I don't remember the exact venue, but they're like, we have a show this date. You have to show up. And I was like, okay. Because I commuted from Rochester to Medina, and that's like out way past Brockport. Yeah, it's like,
that's a hike.
It was like a 40-minute drive. And, I made it to practice like once or twice a week, and I really just couldn't do the drive anymore. That's kind of why we parted ways, and the old guitarist picked up vocals for them again, and now they go by a different band name, and I mean, it's all good between us.
So you were the vocalist for that band?
Yeah.
Were you there from the start, or did you start?
No. I explained this early in the podcast. I said that they brought me in because their guitarist didn't want to do vocals as well.
I listen. I promise, Andrew.
Okay.
I listen.
Well, we're not going to have like the same thing repeated on a loop.
No. So what happened next?
So
tell me the story of Andrew.
So then I filled in, and then I quit afterwards because I couldn't make the drive, and they wanted more dedication, and it's okay. Yeah, it's all good.
Now, whose vocals did you try to imitate, like when you were first learning how to scream?
I really wasn't into the low screaming. Like back when like Old Attila came out, like I just wasn't impressed. I just didn't like those low gutturals. It just didn't sound good.
Fair enough.
Like you really couldn't understand what they're saying, and it's just like, and I'm just like, English? I don't know.
So you never got into lows. You just didn't like them.
I didn't like listening to them. They just didn't do anything for me. For someone who enunciates well and wants to be understood, like having those noises just didn't really
make sense to you.
Just didn't make sense as a vocalist for me to do and want to do. So I went the other way, and I was like, I like the higher screaming that you can actually like make out the words and shape the vowels to where you want, people to listen to it.
So who were you listening to then? Like, Bring Me the Horizon?
Yeah.
I can tell. I was going to say, please tell me he was a big influence for you.
Oh, man. Ali Sykes' vocals in, like, that whole first album, it was, I listened to that so many times, and it was such a big influence on me vocally. And I know that he tore his throat up.
Oh, yeah, no, 100%. I hope you do it healthy.
I do, yeah, I definitely
or at least
do.
attempt to.
Yes, I do. but understanding that he tore his vocals making those sounds, it kind of made me want to figure out how he created those sounds, but do it at a way where it didn't hurt me. So it kind of gave me like a new challenge to do vocally, and I mean, I think I do it as best as I can.
No, I feel like you do pretty well. I think you do okay.
Thanks, man.
Just a little, just okay.
I was also listening to Alex Kohler in Chelsea Grin.
Okay.
At the time. Yeah, he's got some.
Is this like old Chelsea Grin, like Chelsea Grin EP, like self-titled EP?
I kind of more got into Chelsea Grin when they came out with Recreant.
Okay.
That aspect of it, and then I think it's what Ashes to Ashes is then like the one after that, and that one was dope.
Yes,
that one was dope. Yeah, I love that album. But yeah, Alex's vocals recorded were an inspiration to me.
Nice save.
I've definitely seen him live, and he's a good performer. I mean,
I agree. I've seen him live. He just doesn't cut it live.
I mean, I love the guy, and he's inspired me to do what I do. So I'm not gonna speak poorly on his behalf, but his recorded sounds great. Yeah, great.
So, Transcendence.
Yeah.
You working on new stuff?
We're always working on new stuff. We're always trying to put out old stuff, actually.
How much stuff do you have, like, written?
Kyle has written a full length plus another EP that we still have yet to release. So we released like a deathcore-ish single earlier in the springtime, which is pretty cool, with Derek Conrad from Asphyxiate the Leader.
Derek, yeah, I'm trying to get him on here.
Yo, you should.
I'm trying.
Derek, get on here.
He's definitely coming next.
Yeah, definitely get him on here. He's an amazing vocalist. The song is called. It's spelled PHUKYU.
Fuck you.
It's fuck you. And
it is a fantastic song.
Dude. Yeah, and it's definitely a crowd favorite live when we play it.
Oh, hell yeah. Now, when it comes to writing lyrics for Transcendence, and then also for Keep From Sight, the band that you are in with me.
Yes.
How do you write your lyrics going into it without having a sound, or do you just kind of write your lyrics and then find the melody when the music is written? Like, do you write heavy in your head and it work out, or do you write heavy and then just kind of?
It depends on the song, honestly. A lot of my writing with Transcendence comes from Kyle creating the music, and then me listening to it, feeling it, and then putting what I feel into the song. So adding my layer on top of it, rather than just coming in with something fresh and be like, right to this, Kyle. That's not how Kyle works. And I love him. He writes beautiful stuff. And I am very happy to write to his stuff. But with Keep From Sight, I mean, you also contribute to the lyric writing process, and we definitely have written stuff before any music was written, and then we're like, oh, this would look cool here, and then we would do it, and we're like, all right, let's figure out a melody for it. Like, let's figure out what would be catchy and what could fit in the structure of the song, and we go in, we edit things back out and rearrange things to make it fit. So it really depends on what we're trying to do with it. And sometimes you bring music to me and I'm like, oh, like I could do this here, and we could write something from there. So I mean, it's nice having that luxury of adaptability when it comes to lyric writing, and it's really cool to work with other people as well in the lyric writing process. That I don't do that with Transcendence, because it's just all me, and Kyle just sings what I tell him to sing. And but with you, it's different. You definitely have more input, and we definitely are on the same wavelength when it comes to what we think sounds good, and we definitely play off each other's ideas, and we try and make the best possible outcome. And I think what we do with Keep From Sight is evidence of that.
When you write, do you write from personal experience?
That's another tricky question. Sometimes, yeah, I definitely feel the emotion that I'm trying to capture and can pull on my past experiences and my memories and utilize that to add a driving factor to it. But as far as necessarily the content that I put in, it can be just from me putting myself in the shoes of somebody else experiencing this and like what they might be going through and how they would feel. And at the same time, figuring out how to capture both the emotional quality of what I'm trying to say and then the make it fit structurally. It's a lot of juggling in my head, and just to write it out on paper and then reorganize it. It's a lot of reorganizing. I'm terrible at freestyling. Like if you ask me to freestyle something, like I'm terrible at that shit. But like you ask me to write you a song, I'll write you a bomb ass song.
Oh, I can attest to that.
Yeah,
You do write some very good music.
Thank you.
Now, when you first started performing, did you get stage fright at all, or did you kind of go into it and you were just felt okay? Like, did you feel comfortable on stage when you first started playing music?
I was hella nervous, man.
Yeah?
There's still times where I'm like, man, do I have to pee or is this butterflies? Like, what? I don't get nervous anymore. I've been doing this for years.
I agree. I do get nervous sometimes.
Yeah, there's sometimes I'm just like, yeah, this is going to be good. And I definitely got nervous my first time. It didn't really go away until it was my time to perform and like be up on stage.
Have you ever bombed a show?
Oh,
Like
yeah.
played a show where it's like you thought, fuck, dude, that should not have happened.
Yeah, so this
Please tell me.
This one show, I was really sick in my throat, and I was playing with this band called Keep From Sight.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and it was at the Firehouse Saloon.
Oh, yeah.
In the
And what happened?
Oh my god, it was atrocious.
I think I do remember that show.
Yeah.
Because I think I was also sick with you.
And in between every song, I would apologize for being so sick. Being like, it doesn't really sound like this. I swear we have music coming out soon, and it's going to sound way better.
The voice cracks were phenomenal that day. It was so good.
Awful, dude. Like, I felt so weak after the set as well. I was like, I know I didn't give my best performance there, but I had to do it. The show must go on.
I'm very impressed that you actually played that show. I thought you were to cancel on me, and I was like, well, fuck. This is gonna suck.
Dude, I wanted to, and I was like, I can't leave my boys hanging like that. So I just pushed it, and my throat was hurting definitely, I don't know, like 5 days after the show, just trying to recover from the strain I put on it. It sounded bad. It sounded so bad, dude, you know.
I do remember. I thought there was also videos from that night as well.
Oh my god,
Some
no.
good ones. What advice would you give to new artists trying to start in the local music scene?
Definitely pick people to be in a band that you can work with and that, you kind of get along well with.
Yeah, compatibility is a huge...
Yeah, don't have an ego either. There's always a bigger fish, man, and there's always room to grow, and there's always more to learn, and, you can find knowledge, from talking to anybody else that's been doing the same stuff that you're about to do. And as far as, performing, it's definitely okay to be nervous, and you don't have to be perfect, There's a lot of what you do on stage and the energy you bring to the show outside of the music aspect itself. It definitely contributes to how the crowd is influenced. And I definitely remember a lot of shows, both with Transcendence and Keep From Sight and other bands that I've been in, where we definitely missed some notes, and I just kind of like look at the people that messed up, and they like shrug their shoulders like, we're gonna keep going. and honestly, there's been some songs where I'm like, I don't remember the second verse, I'm just gonna do the third verse for the second verse, and no one's gonna understand me, so it's all good. So there's definitely been times where like my brain farts in the middle of performing and I just lose my spot. But you can't like show that to the audience. Like you don't let them know that you fucked up. You just got to keep going and like look like you like fake it till you make it, you know. You got to look like you're confident, and you know, with that it'll come naturally.
For you, do you get more nervous in front of a smaller crowd, like a show with like maybe 5-10 people, like an empty place, or do you get more nervous in front of a bigger crowd? Like I'm actually curious because like it's so hard because I know so much about you. I'm trying to ask questions that I honestly don't. I have no idea. I can't tell with you sometimes. This is why I'm really curious.
I think I would get more nervous with a smaller crowd, because with a big crowd, there's just a sea of people, right? And people can come and go as they please. It still looks like you have a big crowd. You know, with a smaller crowd, like if someone just walks away out of 5 people and there are 4 people left, you notice that. And, you know, it kind of affects you. Like, and they're like, what the fuck? I'm like, I'm fucking up. Or like, why didn't they stay? And you like question everything. But like with a bigger group, you're like, yeah, you guys will feel this. And you can just go all out without having to worry. And honestly, I play a lot of shows. I wear contacts. I'm wearing contacts right now, but I normally wear glasses. Yep. And for shows, I take my glasses off.
So you can't see.
So I can't see anybody.
I'm about to say, what do you look at when you're singing? Because you can't see anything.
I just kind of look out, and I close my eyes a lot, and a lot of pictures have my eyes like rolled up in the back of my head, which is like me trying to find the right pitch in my head before it like exits my mouth and like goes into the microphone and people hear it.
It's some really good pictures of you like
yeah,
that too.
I was possessed.
It looks so good for like Transcendence photos because it looks so heavy. It looks so crazy.
Yeah. So I mean, I usually don't see anything anyways, so I don't really get nervous about noticing people. So a big crowd, little crowd, I wouldn't know the difference.
It's going to be interesting because now you do have contacts. When you play your first show and you could see people there.
I know. When I take my glasses off, I end up sweating so much more on my face, and the sweat drips into my eyes and it starts stinging, and like I have to close my eyes while I'm singing because there's sweat stinging my eyes. And hopefully that doesn't happen with contacts in, because that would be awful.
It's actually kind of nice. It's kind of like a shield.
Oh, perfect.
It hurts from time, like if you're really sweating, but besides that, it's very comfy.
I mean, you know how sweaty I get.
Yeah. Sweaty boy.
Yeah, sweaty.
What is the biggest show that you played? Like, was it with Transcendence? Because
Yeah.
I know Transcendence is the biggest band currently. It's been the longest going one.
Yeah. I don't know. Our biggest show, I mean, hometown show, we played with Sirens and Sailors, and you know,
it sells out.
Yeah, they sell out. It's packed. That was a pretty big show. Another huge crowd we had was when we played with Suicide Silence.
Did you play with them?
We played with them at the Montage last year. Eddie was doing vocals.
Okay, I was about to say with Eddie. Okay.
Yeah. Eddie was doing vocals, and he actually blew me away. I was very hesitant about, you know, giving any sort of faith into somebody replacing Mitch for them. And when I saw Eddie perform live, he just blew me away. And I was like, he's the perfect fit for this band.
Oh, yeah, I definitely agree. I feel like Eddie was a perfect... What was he in before? All Shall Perish?
I think
right?
so.
Yeah. No.
I don't know.
No, don't quote me.
me.
I think that's who it is.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I know like one song. What was your first concert? Like, who was the first band that you saw? Or was it a single person? Or was it an act?
Oh, that I went to?
Yeah.
Like by choice? I saw...
your first one. So...
Like I told you, like when I was little, I grew up going to bars and seeing Celtic bands.
True. Okay,
so the first band that I chose to like go to a concert to see, I saw, it was The Devil Wears Prada with Drop Dead Gorgeous and Dance Gavin Dance. like way back when.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like Johnny Craig days. Like, yeah. It was a while ago.
Was this like Warped Tour or something, or was this just a show?
This is at Water Street. Yeah.
Wow.
And there was like nobody there. And the last band was at the Throne of Judgment. They were pretty dope. But yeah, I really went to see the Devil Wears Prada and Drop Dead Gorgeous, and Dance Gavin Dance kind of blew me away, and I was like, this is dope. So that kind of turned me on back then. I don't remember what year that was. Yeah, but it was a while ago, over a decade ago for sure.
So you were doing music then, or no?
I mean, I had taught myself guitar at that point, but I wasn't performing at all.
Right.
Yeah.
So it was before your first band with
Yeah.
Buddy.
Yeah. No. It was before I played live, but it was after.
Oh, okay.
It was after,
Okay.
right. It was before I started doing vocals. Yeah.
Now so you've recorded with Transcendence and
Mhm.
you've recorded with Keep From Sight. Have
Mhm.
you ever recorded anything else previously beforehand? Because I actually haven't heard anything that. So I've always wondered if you actually recorded anything and it's like hidden on MySpace or trying to keep it somewhere safe. It's like, I want to know.
I can't find any YouTube videos of when I played with No Sad Tomorrow, which is good because I sounded terrible.
Man, I wish I could hear old Andrew.
Oh my God. No, you don't.
No, I want to.
No.
I want to know. I want to see how you've grown.
I mean, I might be able to dig stuff up in my old laptop and try and find like old videos. Back when, before the foundation disbanded and before Adrian was brought on, they were looking for a vocalist after Weston, and so they put out instrumental tracks for people to add their own stuff to, and I added my own bits lyrically and vocally to it. And
what were you recording on? Just like your phone, or?
Yo, I was recording with a Guitar Hero mic. Yeah, I was broke, dude. I was a little kid.
Like plugged into your laptop? Or
Yeah.
Like, oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was awful quality. It was, yeah.
Just gain all the way up.
It was so bad. And I was kind of embarrassed sending it in because of the quality of it. And I'm sure that might have been a very dismissal part of it. Like, this is trash. But they went with Adrian, and I think Adrian did a good job with Before the Foundation after Weston. Weston was a very great vocalist for them, and I definitely enjoyed his tones live and his energy that he brought to the stage. But Adrian definitely filled the role, and you can check out his band Destroy Create.
Destroy Create is great. I got to get one of them on here too.
Yeah,
that'd be cool. Talk to one of them.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
So was that like the first vocal cover you ever did? Technically, right into that.
Yeah.
So, did you ever do any other ones?
Like vocal covers?
Yeah.
Not that got recorded.
No.
I mean, I would practice like covering songs, but nothing ever got recorded for it. So.
Now, who are you listening to like nowadays? Like, who's your current favorite artist?
Oh man.
I know that's gonna be a hard question for you because you listen to pretty much everything.
Yeah, there's so much music that I listen to. And
all right, give me top 5 then. I'll let you choose 5.
Top 5 that I listen to currently. Let me bring up my Spotify. Give me one moment.
Yeah, you could have a second because I want to take a drink too because my mouth's dry.
Okay. Well, I don't want your mouth to get dry.
No, it's dry. It's the worst.
No, dry mouth is the worst.
Dry mouth is the worst.
It is
just the worst.
The worst.
It's just the worst.
Okay, so in my Spotify, we've got like Moths to Flames.
Okay.
Yep. They're definitely a huge influence on me. Amir. Gotta love Amir.
Did you listen to their new album?
Their
new, was it an album? Yeah, it was an album.
Yeah.
Did you listen to it fully? Because I actually didn't listen to it yet.
honestly didn't want to.
Did you listen to the single and just was like,
yeah, the single turned me off.
Yeah.
But I mean, I listen to Oldemir, so
Okay,
that's
fair
like
enough.
what am I listening to now? I'm listening to old stuff as well as like the new stuff that's coming out.
Right.
So like with Alpha Wolf, like the
Oh
two
my
stuff
gosh.
that they brought out, like it's just fire.
I'm so excited
Yeah.
for that album. That's gonna be a banger.
Yeah, I think I play Akudama at least once a day.
It's so catchy.
It's so good. Yeah. Who else? How many did I list? 3? Is that 3?
Yeah.
I also listen to I the Breather a lot, but off the album These Are My Sins. I just want to jive with the whole way through. It's great. And probably the other band that I listen to a lot is Currents.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're on that metalcore grind.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I listen to lots of stuff. I mean, I listen to stuff with singing in it from like, I don't know, the Ready Set. And like, what was that other one I was listening to? Secondhand Serenade. It's acoustic. You don't know Secondhand Serenade? I saw that look on your face.
You're older than me.
Oh my God, you're so young.
I am young.
I know. I've been in the scene. I was thinking about it. I was thinking about it on the way here, and I was like, I've been a part of this music scene like for over a decade. And I'm like, that makes me feel kind of old.
So you kind of watched it grow.
I have. I've seen the scene change here in Rochester, from tons of people at shows to very little people at shows to then, moderate people coming out, and then it's fluctuated.
I feel like it's a lot better. I feel like it's growing. It's nice.
Yeah, from like when you joined the scene, it's definitely gotten better.
Oh yeah.
But from when I was around back when like Sarek was playing, like you probably never even heard of Sarek. Yeah, my buddy Lance was in that.
You can keep talking. Just because I don't know doesn't mean other people don't.
I know. I'm just looking at
Keep
you,
going.
and you're like,
I
I don't
wanna
know exactly anything about what you're saying right now. But like, I don't know. I
can listen back and listen to it. That's
yeah,
my
yeah,
favorite
yeah,
part.
Yeah, Sarek was a
Give me more people to
a
listen
huge
to.
influence, and but like that was back when shows were being played at the Penny Arcade. Water Street was still booming, and there were lots of people coming out for those shows, and then all of a sudden, like some people got older and moved away, and like a lot of the scene left Rochester and stopped coming to shows, and it kind of died out. And there's been a revival going on for the metalcore
No
scene.
pun intended. Revival. Matt's band.
Matt. Yeah, Matt.
I also talked to Matt. Matt's coming soon.
Matt's coming? Yeah.
I need to get Matt on here.
Oh my God, I love Matt.
Sorry, but yeah. No.
Plug
Plug
Matt
Revival New York.
Yeah.
Hardcore.
Definitely check them out.
Matt is fantastic.
They are talented musicians.
Oh, so good.
They
So
got
good.
so much energy. But yeah, there's definitely been a revival since things kind of died out years ago. And it's now with COVID and everything, with people having to sit down and, playing behind, glass so we don't spit on the crowd or whatever they fear we're going to do.
Yeah, how did you feel about that?
Oh, man.
Like, I thought it was it was so weird. I know we kind of rushed that set because I was in a mood and I put you in a mood and it was just not a good day. But to be fair, I was a little upset, but it's okay.
Yeah,
We definitely played better.
Yeah,
but we've
we
also
definitely
played worse.
Yep, that's definitely true. But playing behind plexiglass was different. I really wanted to hang on it,
dude.
but they definitely didn't let us touch it. Because if
I
it
hated
fell
that
over, we'd have to stop. So
I hated that you could barely see through it.
yeah,
Like, it was so reflective.
You
Like,
definitely saw a lot of yourself, and I'm like, ooh, I'm looking fine tonight.
I was like, wow, I look like a blob right now. What is going on?
The blobfish.
Now, what do you think is the next steps that music's going to take? Like, do you think there's going to be, like, small tours soon? Or do you Like, what do you think is going to happen? Like, I know winter's coming up now, so I don't think there might be any tours doing that, like, during that because of the flu season.
I saw some bigger artists going around playing at drive-ins.
Oh, yeah, no, I saw that, too. I was listening. Who's been doing that? Bert Kreischer.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I listened to him.
Cool.
Plug Bert Kreischer. One day I'll meet you, buddy. That'd be cool if I did.
Yeah. So I thought that was a cool idea. That was a very innovative way to utilize that kind of space for more than just, movies.
Yeah.
And it, if you have the space to drive up and people are contained in their cars and being safe about it, like, why not? But as far as like going back to normal, like where people can throw down in the pits and, that kind of stuff, I don't know, man. Like, it depends on, the government and how fast they can get some sort of vaccine for this thing, and a safe one, not just one that's rushed to satisfy the masses so things can go back to normal sooner, but actually one that's effective and safe.
Right.
Which can take like, I don't know, a year to 2 years. So I mean, a lot of bands are doing now, instead of doing like the playing live shows, would be live streaming. They do live streaming.
Okay.
And they're getting their online merch stores up and running and to help with their brands, which is definitely something I advise all starting musicians who are trying to start during this time of craziness, which it's definitely hard to promote your brand without playing live shows.
Right.
But if you can do the live streaming and, get that out there, and, that's people think they can, I don't know. I feel like a lot of people think that they can just wait it out. And I don't think waiting it out is the right answer. And I feel like making sure that you're pushing content constantly and keeping, music listeners listening. It's what you want, and you can keep the brand going as long as you keep pushing out the product that you want. So it has to go hand in hand with like the merch sales and what you're doing for your product, and like what the business is all about, which is music for musicians.
Right.
So as far as going back to normal, I have no idea, dude. I have no idea. I am not a fortune
I have
teller.
to tell you, this is like the hardest thing right now, because it's like I want to ask questions or questions that I don't know, but I know so much about you.
Okay.
And it's like I'm so lost. I'm like, shit, what am I talking about right now? But yeah, it's like small talk. Are we gonna record soon?
I'm hoping we're gonna record soon.
Like, I feel like that'd be a cool next step.
I know. I mean, now that we have some recording gear, we can definitely do some like pre-production stuff ourselves.
Yeah, no, I think that'd be cool.
Not just like
let's just talk shit
with Keep from Say, but like with For the Last Time. And
yeah, dude, let's do it.
We can,
especially with these things, these instrumental mics.
Yeah, instrumental mics are dope.
But they work really well for this too.
Yeah,
I'm actually surprised. Even though you sound robotic, you won't hear it later. I promise. That's the worst part.
I hope not. I sound like
no. I promise.
C-3PO.
No, I promise you. But what is the hardest part? So you've been in so many bands. Let me rephrase this. So you've been in so many bands. What is the hardest part about being in a band?
Well, there can definitely be some creative differences, with the content that you're making, and people wanting it to go their way, and that's why I said, like, if you're trying to do bands, like, don't have any ego. Like, being in a band is about, being inclusive to the people also creating this project with you, which is more than yourself, and you have to be mindful of that. And when someone critiques what you bring to the table, not to take it personally, but to take it constructively, and see where can I push myself to be better, and take what they're saying into account. And I mean, sometimes some people give bad advice, and you kind of have to weigh in yourself and like what you want to put out, and if it's something you can stand behind, as a musician. I forgot the question.
It's okay. The question was, what was the hardest part about being in a band?
Right. Creative differences, and then like there's some personality clashes that can happen, like, and if you're like being in a band is a business, and these are gonna be business partners, and you have to be able to, show your side of the coin without feeling any sort of like belittling or like what you say has no weight. You definitely have to feel valued and know your value, and then express your value and make sure that your voice is heard when you're in a band. And it's all about communication and getting where you want to go and being adaptable with it at the same time.
Okay, fair enough. I could agree to that.
Yeah.
Do you feel like with that trying to think of how I want to phrase this, because I have a question, but I'm forgetting it as I'm thinking of it.
Oh, no.
If that makes sense.
It does.
But yeah, no. So what local band do you wish was still playing? Because I know you started this in the scene a lot sooner than I was. Like I came in, I don't know, maybe 2015.
Yeah.
2016, maybe.
Yeah,
and then when did you start? Like 2011, 2012?
2010, 2011. Oh man, there's so many bands that have been around. I mean, I wish Sarek was still a thing, but Lance is off doing amazing things now, and I'm sure he still has his pipes, but. Man. Every Last Thursday was also a band that I saw a lot live that was local.
Rochester or Buffalo?
Rochester.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They were
they pop punk, or what was their style? Alternative?
They had a female vocalist who was killer. Pretty sure her name was Haley.
From Paramore, dude?
Nah, no. But they killed it. I think Taylor Rambo was in that band.
Really?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he played bass.
I was taking awesome photos and stuff.
Yeah. And there's so many bands that have broken up, and then people from that band have created different bands off of that. Like, Call Me the Patriot. The people have branched off and done like Aphasia with Jake Grew, and then Adrian did Before the Foundation after Weston, and then is now doing Destroy Create, and then all the other musicians also were in other bands as well after those bands. I mean, Call Me the Patriot was great. I love listening to them. I mean, I'm glad Sirens and Sailors is still kicking it.
Yeah, no.
They've been.
Did you listen to them when they were like?
Yeah.
Okay.
I did.
You're a hardcore fan.
Yeah.
Well, I knew that kind of, but I just want to make sure.
Yeah, I definitely was around for the beginning of that stuff. It was great, and they killed it. I'm so glad that they were successful. Other bands that aren't around that I wish were. I don't know, man.
Next question instead.
Yeah, right. Moving on.
Moving on.
I named a couple. I passed.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, you talk to a lot of bands when we play live. Who is your favorite band that you've met, like, from a show that you played at, or
show that I played at, or show that I've been to?
I was gonna say been to, but I want to say played at to narrow it down.
Played.
I lied. We'll say been to help you. I'm sorry.
Well, Victims, the guys in Victims are great. They're funny.
Did you play with them in Syracuse?
No, they were in Rochester.
Rochester?
Yeah, they came through Montage. And another band that's awesome is Adhara. They're from Albany.
I remember you showing me.
They play some heavy music, and they're like the nicest dudes in the world. Like, they're so cool and so chill to just hang with. Who else is pretty cool? I don't know. There's a lot of snobs in the music industry, man. Like some people just think their shit
ego
is great. Yeah, yeah. And I mean, I'm sure I'm leaving out a lot of people. I mean, I've met some great people that have been in bands over the years. But those guys really stood out to me, for sure. Also, as far as like larger bands that I've seen, just like been to and haven't been like, instead of just going to like little local shows, like the bigger bands that I've seen, probably the nicest guys were in a Skylar Drive.
Really?
Yeah. I remember seeing them in Syracuse, and I remember after the show smoking a blunt with the drummer, and he's like, "Yo, you gonna come to the next show, like tomorrow?" I'm like, "Where?" And he told me where it was, and I was like, "Sure." He's like, "Where? Take my number. We'll meet up beforehand.
That's awesome.
We'll smoke a blunt." I'm like, "Cool." Yeah. So I did that, and that was pretty cool.
That's awesome.
I mean, I've met other, like, bigger musicians as well. Like
Who is the most famous person that you've met?
Let's see, most famous that I've met.
Yeah.
As far as musicians go, I don't know.
Yeah, musicians.
Kellen Quinn is pretty big.
Did you meet him at Warped Tour?
No. I wasn't in Germany. I was with a band from Germany in Florida recording their full length with Cameron Mizell, and there was a night where we went to the House of Blues in Orlando, part of Disney there, and we got to go backstage with the producer because he also produced Sleeping with Sirens, Memphis Mayfire, and I was not expecting to go to a show. I was spending a month down in Florida, but we got to see Sleeping with Sirens, Danger Kids, Conditions. There's another one. I don't remember. I was high for that show. That was years ago. But it was an amazing time. And after the show, we went back to the producer's house because that's where the band stayed. He had the house next to his recording studio. And Kellen Quinn came back with us afterwards to the house, and it was these, what is it? Was it six German guys, myself, the producer, and then Kellen, and we were playing Halo and this dirt bike racing game on Xbox, and we were drinking beers like for like an hour, a couple hours actually, and then when we had to bring him back to his bus that night, they were like, "All right, who's the most sober to drive?" And I had like one beer at the beginning of the night because I was only 20 at the time when this was all going down. And, the Germans were like German, so they were hammered. And Cameron was like, "I can't drive." So I was like, "I can drive. Like, I'm good." And so it was me driving, and then shotgun was Kellen Quinn, and then Cameron was in the back. And this was right before they released their album Feel. And so they had the pre-released version in the car, just because it was the producer's car and he was listening to it for car quality. And Kellen turns to me and he's like, "What do you think about this?" Because he thought I'd never heard it before, but the producer had previously shown us off, like, showed off the music that he was proud of making. I'm like, "This sounds cool. Like, we've never heard this before." And so Kellen goes, "Yeah, like, what do you think about this?" And not knowing that I'd heard it before. And I'm like, "Yo, this is trash." And, like, he looked at me in, like, such surprise, like, "What the fuck did you just say to me?" And I go, "Dude, I'm kidding. I know this is you." And he goes, "Oh my God, you got me so good." And I look in the rearview mirror and I see Cameron's eyes just like wide as dinner plates. Like, what did you just say to Kellen?
How did you get yourself in that situation?
What, driving?
No, like that in general, just being down there.
Down in Florida?
Yeah. How did, because you said you were with the band there.
Yeah.
How'd you get into that?
So the, one of the vocalists and the screamer from the band, they were Me and a Million.
Okay.
Reached out to me, and we were going back and forth, and then he was like, we're going down to Florida to record, like, you should come with us, and like, you could stay with us. I'm like, that'd be dope. He's like, you just have to like pay for a plane ticket there and back, and for your own food, you know, and
right.
otherwise you can stay with us, and like, it'd be great if like you could help with the writing thing since we're German, and like just to check it with the English. And I'm like, cool, like,
That's awesome.
I'm like, that's amazing, like, when are you doing this? And it was supposed to be in October, and then it got pushed to March. And I was like, all right, good thing I didn't buy my plane tickets for that.
Right.
Yeah.
Fuck, dude.
So I ended up getting a ticket, the there and back ticket. And I was like, I'll spend the whole month with you guys. Like, I'm taking off work. I think I quit my job, whatever I was doing, to go down there and have that experience with them. And it was one of the greatest musical experiences of my life, like being a part of the recording process with a major label producer, and to be with this band that, you know, I felt wanted me there, and we like went and did things outside of the recording, and it was really cool to be included in this experience that they had in America. And some of them, it was like their first time being in America, so they were stoked to have this person who was also stoked about their music, because I was an advocate for them, like in the States, and I was like pushing their music, just advertising it everywhere I could for them, just because like I really liked their sound and what they did. So like I think that helped them be more like familiar with the idea of this strange boy, 20-year-old boy from New York wanting to come down and spend a month with them, you know. So yeah, and like during that time, like Franz stopped through the studio, and they were fangirls, just like up the butthole for him, which, you know, was embarrassing for like the producer to have like them on his property, and you know, this whole thing for Franz, you know. I mean, he's great. Franz is amazing. I definitely respect him and the image he has created. And another person that came through was Maddie Mullins from Memphis May Fire.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, and I got a little story for that too, if we have the time. How much time?
Yeah, no, go right ahead.
We got time? Okay, cool.
Don't worry, I'll let you know.
Yeah, okay, back to the story. So Maddie Mullins came through the studio, and he was supposed to record a guest vocal spot on Cameron, the producer's album that he was doing himself, and he was having Kellen Quinn was on a track, and then Maddie Mullins, and he had other people. I don't remember the other people. I think Tyler Carter was maybe on another one, and so Maddie gets into the studio, and obviously the Me and a Million people weren't recording at that time, and I was hanging out on the couch with the bass player and the drummer, and Cameron shows Maddie the song and the part that he wants him in, and Maddie turns to us that were just sitting there, just like chilling, and he goes, "Any of you guys write lyrics?" And I'm like, "I do." He's like, "Let me see what you got." I'm like, "Okay." So I like run and grab my laptop, and I'm like, "Okay, like what kind of song do you want?" He's like, "I don't know, something about, you know, like just bad people." And I'm like, "Okay, I have this really hateful song I wrote about my ex." He's like, "All right, let me take a look at it." So I pull it up, and he skims through it, and he's like, "Yo, I can work with this." And he takes it, writes it down on a notepad, so he doesn't bring my whole laptop into the booth. And then he goes into the booth and then tracks it, and that was it. And then Cameron like mixed it, mastered it, put it out, and it's on Spotify. If you listen, I think it's on other streaming. It's called Rocket Man, featuring Maddie Mullins by Time Traveler. And the guest vocal spot are my lyrics that I wrote.
That's
Yeah.
Kind of crazy.
Yeah,
Actually,
it was
I never knew that about you.
Yeah, so after he does the take, he goes, so, and he's like, so is anybody going to believe you when you tell them that you wrote this part?
I trust you. You don't.
And I'm like, I don't know, probably not. He's like, well, what do you think? Like, what do you think would be a fair trade? And I was like, well, I just want you to remember who I am. And he goes, okay, I can do that. And then he's like, here, and take these. And he gives me his sunglasses. And I gave those sunglasses to my sister.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I'm sure if you ask her, she probably has them somewhere.
That's so cool.
Yeah. So, yeah, that was surreal. Just to be like, whoa, you tracked that in front of me, and you sound amazing.
Did you fangirl?
No, I didn't fangirl at all.
Really?
No, that was something that, like, the producer talked to me later. He's like, I really appreciate that, like, you see them as people and, like, not these idols. And then after we had the whole conversation, like, he's like, do you want to listen to some of, like, my music from before, like, when I was in a band? And I was like, sure. And he, like, pulls up this band that I was like, I used to love listening to. And I'm like, you were in this? He's like, yeah, I was the singer. I'm like, what? I'm fangirling so hard right now, Cameron. And he's like, oh my God, stop it, go away.
Just as you said, oh yeah, no, I never did.
Yeah, I'm like, no way is this you, dude. He's like, yeah. And so he pulled up like YouTube videos and stuff, and I'm like, yup, that's definitely you.
The irony, dude.
Yeah, and he was a band called Last Winter, and that was the band I listened to. They put out some really cool stuff. He did singing, and then he showed me his other band called She Can't Breathe. They put out stuff as well with him singing, and he's got a really great voice. But he also can scream. Like in Time Traveler, he does lots of screaming as well.
Good morning.
I think it's 10 o'clock.
Well, actually, that's perfect timing too, because it's about an hour you're into this now. So thank you, Martha.
Thank you.
But yeah, Andrew, thank you for coming on to
Absolutely,
this episode.
Man. I'm sure we can have more conversations at a later time as well.
It's definitely so hard because it's like I had to find questions because I know too much. I had to actually think about it. I screwed up.
Yeah, this can be just part one.
This is part one.
Yeah.
I will come up with juicy questions.
Yeah,
it's gonna happen.
I'll be ready for sure.
Do you want to plug anything? Do you want to plug your bands?
I mean, we did that already throughout this episode.
Which bands?
Check out Transcendence. Transcendence, New York. You can check out Keep from Sight. They do some cool stuff. Yeah, I mean, support local music, buy the merch, go to shows, wear a mask right now this time, follow the rules, make it so the people that are performing are getting the most out of it, even if you don't feel like you are because of how things used to be, and just, give your all at a show, and, it can be felt both ways.
My cat's running around. Sorry, I got distracted.
I know. I can hear him too. I'm like, what was that?
Henry, relax. But all right, well, so that was another episode of Music to Us podcast. If you would like to come on, or if anybody would like to give any suggestions or critique, or what is the word? Constructive criticism. There we go. I found it. You could email me at musictouspod@gmail.com, and it's going to be the number 2, not the word 2. Because there's only allowed to be 2 people because they only have 2 mics.
Oh, yeah.
See, smart.
I like this. That was smart. Thanks, Jake, for letting me be on this. This was really fun.
I don't know how else to end it, so yeah, that's it.
Ta-da!